My name is Hannah Bridgers. I'm 55 now, living in the quiet outskirts of Richmond, Virginia. If you met me, you'd see a middle aged wife who hums while tending her garden and bakes pies for the neighborhood potluck. You'd see a warm smile in my eyes whenever I speak of my husband, Thomas, to whom I've been married for 35 years. But there's a secret woven into our gentle tapestry of marriage, one I never confessed. 20 years ago, when we'd already been married 15 years, I had an affair. To this day, he never found out, and if I'm being wholly honest, I regret. I imagine that last part is enough to make people recoil. I understand, but life is rarely black and white, and 20 years is a long time to carry a clandestine memory. Let me begin by saying I love Thomas. I truly do. He's been a constant in my life, a faithful partner. We raised two children, built a home, overcame all manner of adversity. Through it all, our marriage survived, some might say thrived, despite that one transgression in my heart and in my bed. And though I won't champion infidelity, I won't pretend it didn't change me for better or for worse. It happened when I was 35, already married 15 years. Our children were 12 and 10, and Thomas was so consumed by his trucking business that he spent weeks on the road. I worked part-time at a local library, slipping into routine, sunrise chores, kids' lunches, dusty shelves. Dinner alone, bed by 10 o'clock p.m. Life was stable yet draining. Sometimes I'd watch the sun go down alone on our front porch, thinking, is this it? Is this all I'm meant to do? On good days, that stability felt comforting. On bad days, it felt suffocating. Thomas was a solid, stoic presence, but not particularly affectionate anymore. After so many years, we'd become companions more than lovers, comfortable in silence rather than brimming with romance. Can you run errands? Replace how are you? I love. That's often the reality of a marriage that has passed the decade mark, especially under the weight of daily pressures. One Tuesday evening, I was tidying up the library after hours. The place was deserted, with a single overhead light in the reading nook. I remember the hush of the building. And then he walked in. Andrew Davenport, a traveling salesman type who was new to town, searching for a local genealogical record. The library was technically closed, but I was there finishing the night's closeout. He wore a crisp white shirt, rolled at the sleeves, tie slightly askew. Mild desperation in his eyes, like he truly needed something he couldn't find anywhere else. I almost turned him away, but some instinct in me paused. I let him in, told him I'd help him look up the record if he didn't mind waiting. While flipping through dusty archives, we began talking. He was charismatic, with a quick laugh and a quiet empathy. 1 hour turned into two. He told me about his work, traveling region to region, investigating old family trees as a hobby. I told him about my kids, about a husband who was away more often than not. He said gently, "That sounds lonely." I laughed awkwardly, insisting I was used to it. "But do you want to be used to it?" he asked, eyes searching mine. I felt a flicker of guilt, like we were crossing an invisible line. That sense of danger both thrilled and unsettled me. Eventually, I locked up and we parted ways, but the memory of that meeting clung to me for days. 2 weeks later, he returned to the library. He claimed another genealogical question, though he wore a slightly shy smile that told me he wasn't just after old records. I pinned my hair up that day, uncharacteristically concerned about my appearance. "Andrew," I greeted him, trying to sound casual. "You again?" He smirked. "I like the help you gave last time. I figured you might indulge me again." A warm flush colored my cheeks. Thus began a pattern. Every so often, Andrew would show up near closing time. We'd talk, half working on his searches, half chatting about life. I found myself looking forward to those chats, heart fluttering like a teenager's. "Is your husband traveling this week?" he asked once. I remember bristling with guilt and longing. I'd murmur, "Yes," or "He's back tomorrow." Not sure why the knowledge excited me, but we hadn't physically crossed lines yet. Instead, emotional lines shifted. I checked my reflection in the library's dusty window, adjusting my blouse, smoothing stray hairs. I felt alive, desired, relevant in a way I'd nearly forgotten. The affair begins. It crystallized one rainy evening. The library lights flickered in a storm. Andrew was the last visitor, and I locked the doors early. We sat by a small desk lamp in the genealogical section, thunder rolling outside. My stomach was in knots, knowing this was no mere friendship. We talked about some random historical record, but mid-sentence he stopped, gazing at me. "Hannah, you seem stuck." Forgive me if I'm crossing a line, but you deserve more than just making do. I felt tears prick my eyes. I'm not sure what you mean, I said, though I didn't know. He placed his hand gently over mine. I see sadness in your eyes. I exhaled shackily. This is too personal. I'm sorry, he muttered, withdrawing his hand. We just stared, hearts pounding. And I whispered, No, don't apologize. Words failed. Our gazes locked. He leaned in. His lips brushed mine, gentle but urgent, and I didn't pull away. Thunder boomed, lightning flashed outside. In that moment, something awoke. Desire, rebellion, a swirl of passion. We parted, breathless. Andrew looked half worried. Hannah, do you want this? I swallowed, eyes misty. I don't know. But My next move answered him. I kissed him again, deeper this time. We didn't make love right there, but we crossed a threshold. We talked quietly, tears and confessions. He admitted he was falling for me. I told him I was married with no intention of leaving, the paradox making me sob. He cradled me, saying, I'm not asking you to leave him, but I know we have something real. I drove home in confusion, moral anguish swirling. But the desire overshadowed my guilt. My husband was away, the kids visited friends on weekends. Andrew and I arranged a secret meetup at a bed and breakfast in a neighboring county, me telling the kids I had a library retreat. They rarely questioned it. At that B&B, we consummated our affair. I remember the hush of the place, the lacy curtains, the thrilling sense of doing something wildly forbidden. Afterward, lying in bed, he traced patterns on my back, whispering, You're incredible, Hannah. In that moment, I felt more alive than ever, as though color returned to a life gone gray. For 2 months, we carried on a hidden romance. I was surprised how easily I juggled the deception. Secret lunches, sometimes parked in his car, sometimes a small motel or a distant cafe. We texted each other from hidden phone lines. I told him about my children. He told me about his traveling lifestyle. And never once did I plan to leave Thomas. That was never the point. I just needed to rediscover myself, feel passionately wanted. Guilt nipped at me nightly. Tucking the kids in, lying beside Thomas in bed, I'd question my moral center. Thomas never noticed the subtle changes like my new lingerie or a different confidence. If he did, he didn't speak up. Some nights I wondered if he caught a whiff of Andrew's cologne or if he sensed the late-night texts on my phone. But he remained stoic, reading the newspaper or dozing off to late-night TV. One vivid memory. I was cooking dinner, stirring spaghetti sauce with one hand, my phone hidden in a recipe book open on the counter. Andrew texted, I crave your voice. I smiled, biting my lip. Suddenly, Thomas walked in, me thinking, he'll see my phone. But he just said, Smells good, and wandered off. Relief and heartbreak merged, relief that I wasn't caught, heartbreak that Thomas was so distant, he didn't even notice I was trembling. The affair ends without regret. Eventually, Andrew's job led him away from Richmond. He told me he had a new position in Austin, Texas. I remember the tearful goodbye, ironically, after library closing again, hugging among dusty shelves. I don't want to lose you, he said, voice thick. I know, I whispered, tears in my eyes, but I can't leave my kids, can't blow up my family. And you must take this opportunity. He nodded. Will you be okay? I forced a brave smile. I'll manage. And so we parted. I drove home, tears blurring my vision, but also felt a strange peace, like I'd tasted a secret freedom. Thomas never found out. Our marriage continued. I ironically channeled new energy into being a better mother, perhaps out of guilt or maybe because the affair reawakened my sense of self. Over time, routine reclaimed me, but I carried that memory like a hidden ember, warming me when I felt overlooked. Present reflections. 20 years have passed. Our children have grown, left the nest. Thomas is semi-retired and gentler than ever. We'll sit on our porch in the evening, watch the sunset, chat about grandchildren. Sometimes he'll even slip his hand into mine, a faint hint of affection we rarely displayed in the hustle of earlier years. He's sweet, and I love him. Our finances are stable. We overcame the rocky middle years. Yet, in unguarded moments, I recall Andrew's voice, his arms around me. I recall how I discovered a deeper capacity of myself for longing for closeness. Some would say I'm cold for not regretting it, but the truth is I see it differently. The affair awakened something dormant, gave me perspective on what I could lose if I let bitterness corrode me. Instead, paradoxically, it helped me carry on in my marriage with less resentment. I won't champion cheating as a fix for marital stagnation. Far from it. But it happened, and I won't rewrite it or disclaim it. Does that make me a terrible person? Possibly, in some eyes, but life is rarely so simple. I loved Thomas, and in a short, intense, secret way, I loved Andrew. Both can be true. If that's contradictory, so be it. I never told anyone, not my best friend, not my sister. Telling them could only cause upheaval. I never told my kids who see me as their stable, reliable mom. Why tarnish their memory of me or their father? Some secrets, I believe, protect more than they harm. Thomas, interestingly, has grown more affectionate in recent years, perhaps with the emptier nest, or perhaps suspecting I once slipped away emotionally. But I haven't detected any suspicion in him. Occasionally, he'll surprise me with a soft, I love you, hope you know that. And I respond, I love you too, because I do. Our love is gentler now, if not as fiery as a new romance. Still, in daydreams, I might recall Andrew's grin or that last embrace. I wonder if he's in Austin with a family or if he thinks of me. Perhaps not. Maybe it was just a fling to him. For me, it was a lifeline at a moment of quiet desperation. A chance meeting that never happened. Months ago, I thought I glimpsed him in a store. My heart skipped a beat. But it was another man with a similar stance. I felt both relief and longing. Had it truly been Andrew, what would I do? Smile, say hello, confess I sometimes still remember those days, then quietly vanish back to my day-to-day. Fate let me keep the memory without the messy reality. As I write, Thomas is out back, fiddling with something in the shed. We plan to visit our grandchildren next month. I love the life we built, the children, the financial stability, the shared jokes. But yes, I also hold that piece of my heart that belonged to Andrew. I'm not sorry for it. It shaped me, awakened me, made me realize I was more than just mother, wife, nobody. Do I regret the betrayal in principle? Perhaps. If Thomas had known, it would devastate him, but he didn't, so he carried on. Some call that cowardice. I call it preserving what was good. I can't call my choice righteous, but neither do I call it purely evil. It's woven into my emotional tapestry. So, dear reader, judge me if you will. I know real life rarely fits neat moral lines. 20 years later, I'm still married, still loyal in the public sense, but with a private memory of another man. Thomas remains unaware. We share contented companionship. I hold no illusions about perfect fidelity in society's eyes. If you'd asked me in my 20s, I'd have sworn never to cheat. If you ask me now, I'll say I did, and it's part of my story, one I don't regret. That's my confession. A woman in her mid-50s sipping tea on her porch in the quiet suburbs, recalling her pivotal affair from 2 decades ago with a sense of bittersweet gratitude rather than shame. I won't rewrite it. I simply speak my truth, because if there's one thing time has taught me, it's that being honest with yourself matters, even if you keep your lips sealed from the rest of the world.